So I welcome everyone to this very exciting episode of Read with a Teacher. We have friends and guests to read book today from what we call in our language Saat Samandar Par, from beyond the seven seas. So that is something very exciting with us. We have our own teacher, friend, and mentor teacher, Minu Gupta, who is at this point of time is at Chico Estate, California. And two of her friends, Alfredo and Carlos, are joining us from the same university campus. So they will be here with us. So we are definitely going to read a book. As you can see, here is a book, Jerome Bruner's The Process of Education. But beyond the book, we have a lot to know, learn from these three amazing people who are joining us from, early morning from the United States, from the state of California. So I welcome Minu and I welcome Carlos and Alfredo, both of you. Minu,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
It's really a great pleasure to have you here. And I'm really thankful that from such a extremely engaged, program which you are the part of there in the United States, and you decided to, squeeze out some time and be a part of this program. So I'm really thankful, and I would like you to, share your journey, your excitement of being over there. Generally, we ask the question that how has been your journey of learning, but I'm asking you to share your journey, or your excitement from there. But before you go to that, I would really like you to, introduce in a greater detail how you know two of your amazing friends who have joined us here.
Yeah.
Yeah, Minu.
And it's good morning here, but good evening, everyone. It's nice to be back among you because this has been something surreal. I still cannot process all that I have learned here,
Yeah.
enjoyed. I have made some 20 amazing friends that probably I'll stay in contact. Like Murari told me that the only the best part of any international program is that you have family across the globe, like 20 different countries.
And two
So
of the
this
family member are here with you, right?
so two of my new family members are here.
Yeah.
So I'm welcoming Carlos. Carlos is a freelancer, an amazing teacher, a teacher trainer, material development person, and above all, he's an excellent, warm, loving person who has made me feel at home here.
Wow.
He's from Portugal.
Stop it. You're gonna
No,
make me
now I'm
blush.
giving back
Stop
what you
it.
go with me. I'm trying to give it back. So they have actually, these two people have contributed a lot towards my journey in the sense that everybody knows me, I'm a little reserved. I don't talk too much, but they have made me talk.
Oh.
In fact, they are the people I talk to them most. So they have made me talk a lot, in fact. And my another friend, Alfredo, he is a curriculum advisor in public education system in Costa Rica. And now he is being promoted to Ministry of Education. Again, a very warm, loving person. And like a typical Costa Rican, he's like, wherever he goes, he makes a new family. Like he's an amazing person.
Thank you, Mina, for those words, for your kind words.
That's really, really amazing. So once again, welcoming you as a not as a friend from now Portugal and Costa Rica, but as a family of extended family of Minu from across the globe. So we are really, really happy to have you here. So Minu, you have introduced two of your friends. So why don't you introduce something about very briefly such an amazing journey, which is a dream. I'm using a word that for in the profession of the teaching, which has been relegated to insignificance historically in most part of the world, barring few countries in Europe. And from there, reaching such significant heights, it's really a dream. Being in one of the U.S. universities. So how has this has been this journey? And I'm sure this journey is not possible without reading. So it has a part. So if you could share something about it, yeah.
If I talk about this journey, I will say that I had actually not thought about it. It is something that I have been I have learned from my friend Vandana is again who is a Fulbright scholar herself, and she has been the one who has motivated me a lot regarding these ventures when she has promoted me to go ahead, because I'm a very sort of private person, so like going beyond myself, reaching out to people is a little difficult for me. But she has been a constant person to motivate me and push me to reach ahead and push my limits. So when she came, she had this Fulbright experience. She was one that this is something you need to experience.
Yeah.
This is something. So I came into mentorship, probably sought my own way, made so many friends, tried to reach out to people, creating a networking of my own. And then I was able to do something that I'm passionate about, supporting people. And this journey has been an extension of that, because I do understand, like in the program like mine, the words of people with whom you work, the referrals and their recommendations also have play a part. So probably all that support everybody has given me in the success of all our programs in terms of teacher training, that has helped me reach here. So it has been hardworking, but I am very like honest about it that I haven't thought that I'll come, but I did come. Katsi Vanna, I would say.
Thank you. Thank you. I would also like to acknowledge, and I have acknowledged many times, that for the very first time, I also came across this fellowship, that is Fulbright fellowship, through Vandana ma'am only. So this is how this mentorship program is actually promoting one another and, you know, developing a group of professionals. Yeah, Minu, you were saying something.
Yeah, I would, if Vanna is here, I would like my friends to meet Vandana. She is the one who has motivated me. So if you see me, I am 2% of what a person she is. So I would like to meet you, like you to meet my best friend.
Vanna, Chandan, yeah. She's on this thing. Yeah. Welcome, Vanna.
I don't think I deserve those exaggerated words, just like I welcome my friends from the globe over here. So definitely it's on our agenda, and it should be our prime responsibility to share the experiences with everybody around, and that is what I did. Nothing more than that. And of course, to live a dream and then to inspire people to live that dream again should be one thing which should always be on the mind. And so I was always interested in expanding our community of Fulbrighters. And that's exactly what I did when I was back, because that was such a fruitful experience that for the teachers of my country, it was an honor to be there. And I really wanted that this community expanded and to have the good fortune of seeing our teachers go every year. So they are bright people. That is why they're Fulbrighters. I must say that. Let it be Murari or Minu or Monica, Neeta. There have been so many of my fellow colleague teachers who've been visiting the US on this prestigious program.
And many are going to join.
And many are going as well. And of course, there are certain others who are still in the pipeline. And I mean, they've been shortlisted, and my many, many congratulations to them. So I have felt and experienced what it means to be in a program which is such as diverse and as huge, something like that. And I'm already aware that you all must be having a great learning experience over there. And it's wonderful to meet a community of teachers from all across the globe. So I'm really happy to see that extended. And I do have a real gratitude for Murari as well, that, there are people who come back, who share their experiences, but there are very few who take the courage to give a platform so that it gets a shape, it gets a vision. And yes, people like Murari and Minu have been visionaries. So I'm very, very sure that they are going to expand the length and breadth of this program to its height, which I think even we couldn't reach. So my many, many congratulations to all of you. And I'm so happy and proud to be a community of such bright teachers like all of us. So my deep congratulations and gratitude to my friends from Portugal and Costa Rica. And I must share that I had a real gem of a person who was my roommate. She was Lau Reels from Costa Rica. And I always keep on seeing, she keeps on sharing those beautiful pictures from Costa Rica. So I really know that the country is really, really beautiful. Another dream is to one day visit Costa Rica, along with my
You're
friends.
welcome to come. You're welcome to come anytime.
And visit Portugal as well.
Awesome. Awesome.
Looking
Yeah,
forward
sure.
to learning from your journey now. So I just stop myself here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Banda ma'am. It's your humility that you have given us, so much credit for all the less insignificant work I'll say we are doing. But thank you very much for being a part and always motivating us. So friends, we are gradually coming to the books. And as I promised in the beginning only that every 15 days we are reading a book, and today also we are going to go through a book, an amazing book. But here today, more than book, the people are important, I feel, because they are the precious people. We get rare chances to get across them, to come across them. So I'm coming to Carlos now. Carlos, why
Good
don't
morning.
you share your excitement also of being there, something amazing, whatever you would like to share, your journey in a very brief.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I mean, do we have an hour or two?
Oh no.
If I start talking, I might compromise reading the book.
Yeah.
But let me start by saying that I'm very humbled to be here. I'm so honored to have shared over 32 days with Minu. We've had some incredible conversations in the classroom and outside of the classroom, because a lot of this experience is actually the things that happen outside the classroom. Those conversations you have over dinner, at the hotel lobby, on the bus, and they really blow you away. So I'm so grateful, so humbled. And for the people at home, today is a very emotional day for me, for Minu, for Alfredo, because we're leaving in in more or less 24 hours. So we're packing our stuff, we're here, we're thinking about our goodbyes, and then we're reflecting on this journey. So this is an emotional roller coaster right now. So many things going through our minds, so many things going through our hearts. It's incredible. You know what? I was listening to you, and I was listening to the previous speakers. And I was thinking about something that my best friend always says: when you're confronted with the unknown, you learn something new about the other, but you also learn something new about yourself. And this journey has been incredible, because I've learned so many new things about myself. I mean, little things on how to be patient. I remember on orientation, first day, let's learn how to use the microwave. And I was thinking, how to use a microwave? What? I don't want to be here. I know how to use a microwave. But the fact is, not everybody knew how to use a microwave. And I had the opportunity to share my roommate doesn't know how to use a microwave. So it was a great reality check. Say, hey, these things that you take for granted, using all these electronics, not everybody knows how to use it. And so I have a 62-year-old roommate that I've been teaching, like, hey, let me help you out with that email. That's not how you make an attachment, or that's not how you insert a photo on PowerPoint. And that's been an incredible journey. And like I said, I learned so much in the classroom, but I think these lessons outside of the classroom are lessons that are going to mark and define me for the rest of my life. I've learned, just to bring it back a little bit more to the US, like I've learned so much about this mythology of the United States, like in the US, where you'll find this idea that we're all born the same. And if you work hard and if you study hard, you're going to go far. And we could probably argue that it's the same in India, the same in Costa Rica, the same in Portugal. We share these ideas with our kids, with our students, with our children. You have to study hard. You need to work harder. You need to push yourself to the limit. Although we know that today's economy and today's world is so complex that being a straight A student doesn't mean you're going to get a job, or doesn't mean you're going to, realize all your dreams. So, discussing these issues, talking about quality and equality, and talking about equity in education, and learning more about schools in the US on how they're based on a property tax system. It's incredible. It's like, wow, this is so different from in Europe. It's like, where's the welfare system? Where's Social Security? How does this work here? And we've had witnessing experiences like sharing a unisex bathroom. I mean, we've had so many lengthy conversations. Meanwhile, and Alfredo are thinking, oh, the unisex situation. Seeing people that were so uncomfortable say, this is impossible. I will never use a bathroom. Simultaneously, like a woman, no, we have to separate. And now people are actually saying, hey, I actually think this is interesting. I'm going to bring this concept back to my school and maybe implement the unisex bathrooms. Yeah. I mean, there are so many things that I could share with you, discussing and learning about low context and high context communication, talking about intercultural awareness, talking about culture shock, which is something that we're going to suffer in a day or two when we return to our respective countries. Learning how local governments fund 42% of American schools. State funds more or less 49%. The federal government funds 9%. When all these little details, all these little issues, they have changed me and marked me profoundly. I think I have so many things to share. I hope we should have a follow-up to this session, just to share more of our experiences.
Absolutely. And let me tell you that I think after Vasco da Gama, if you know, every Indian
I know
the name
very well Vasco da Gama. Yes.
So you are the first guy I'm meeting in person. Otherwise, about him I have read from Portuguese. That is what
I hope I can live up to your expectations.
And we have a great misconception in India that the Vasco da Gama discovered India. The reality is he discovered a sea route, from Europe.
Exactly.
Yeah, but
what we caminho marítimo para as Índias, we say in Portuguese. Exactly. It's very interesting. Yeah. Well, that's another topic for another session. I think that you're gonna. I think today we're gonna find at least 10 more topics for the 10 more sessions to complement this one.
Yeah. But now, so I'll come back to you again. I would now like to go to Alfredo. Alfredo, we are really excited to hear your excitement being the last day over there. How has been your journey? So whatever you would like to share, we are really excited to hear.
I think that on Carlos and Minos' words, I would like to express, this huge gratitude for the journey we've been going through so far. I'm kind of like getting ready to come back home, but with the idea of, not letting this go a little bit in terms of, meeting all these beautiful people and the experiences we've been going through, and getting to know a little bit more in detail about the U.S. educational system. I want to say something that maybe Carlos and Minu, and I'm pretty sure that they do agree with me, is that we are all here with a purpose that is passion for education. Even though what we're doing, if I'm at a central level, if I'm a teacher, if I'm a trainer, if I'm a professor or not. So here, we've seen so many episodes of very nice things, like, how immigrants, for example, are treated here, and how they have all these nice things to be done for them in terms of having this installed or institutionalized in the system. That really moves me, because I come from Latin America that is very close to the United States, and we have seen, all this things immigrants go through, and how they just like come and say, okay, here we are for you. We're teaching you Spanish. We're helping you. We're helping parents. We're helping teachers. We have Spanish teachers, for example. On the other hand, I would like to say how this people here in this county, at least in California, address the fact of, having homeless people, and how they want to help them in terms of like providing not only, a place to go and pick up stuff, or just also different ways of, finishing their studies and all that. So those are the little tiny things, and among other beautiful things we've been going through. But the rich moments of discussion, the rich moments of, deep understanding of what the system is all about is something that I'm going to, take back to Costa Rica. And I'm pretty sure that Carlos and Minu as well. Above all, I would like to recognize the fact that we've been all exposed at different levels in terms of getting to know us better as human beings and as professionals. We have had the opportunity to discuss deeply in terms of even our customs, our traditions, and our paces as humans and professionals as well. Yeah. I'm pretty sure that after this whole journey, we're going to be able to connect. We're going to be able to network. This is something we're eager to do. So going beyond this program, we were eager to continue talking as humans, as friends, and as professionals as well. So I'm gonna just take any more time of your precious time. So I was, being short in the term. So thank you so much for letting us be here with these beautiful people and to share a little bit of our thoughts about the chapters we were assigned by Minu, because we were on this road together. It just came out to us and said, Alfredo, want to present? Alfredo, you want to talk about the book? So I was doing the reading yesterday of these chapters, but they were pretty interesting. So I'm pretty happy to be here to share some of my thoughts in terms of the chapters we were assigned. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I'm just coming to that, and I think I got a little late. There's a little interruption here. So with us, we have also Chandanji. So Chandanji, and together, me and Chandanji, organized this program along with the help from many of my mentor friends. We also have perhaps Pandey sir with us. So Pandey sir, whenever you would like to feel comfortable, please come and welcome our guest here and say a few words. So he's the head of the whole programs, the mentor teacher program, Dr. B.P. Pandey. But meanwhile, before we come to the book, I'm taking a little time before coming to the book. I would like Chandanji to, have a little introductory word with all of our guests.
So I think I'm audible to all.
Yeah.
So, actually, the title says many things about this book. It says the process of education, and it takes a whole village to raise a community, basically. So while going through the book, we must compel our readers that what exactly we must do in our classroom, which actually is going to help our learners. At the same time, what we should avoid, that exactly is going to lead them in another way, which is not going to help them for the larger goal actually. So I think these are the two things we must keep in our mind while going through the book, as well as the whole process of the education. This is how things work. And a few days ago, I was going through a book called Dangerous School. That book also talks about something similar about this book, that why we should consider a school as a closed community where only a few people have access and only they are aware what exactly is going inside those four walls. So I think as we process into the book, the reader will
Awesome. So Chandanji, you have actually you have taken us to the book. So I was just delaying it, and now you have taken us. So we are here with the book now. So the plan is a little different today. So what I have planned, since when I was talking to Minu and she was having a little less time this time. So the approach which I suggested to you, Minu, how to read this book, I learned it there in the American classroom only. So teacher used to give us a book, and they used to tell that divide the chapters among all the classmates and come tomorrow prepared. So like 20 people, 20 chapters, and each one of us has to tell that in the particular chapter what was most interesting and why it was most interesting for you. So this is how one class could read one book in a day. That was very interesting. So here 3 of you could read a book. So fantastic. This is why I shared this idea with you. So what I'm going to do is, now that I have selected some of the themes, so rather than going through page by page or chapter by chapter, I will be talking about these themes. And wherever you feel like commenting on those themes, so this is how we will be discussing. So we have limited time. We would not be able to cover the entire theme. So like 4 or 5, maybe maximum 6 themes we will be able to catch. And when I say themes, so actually this book is the outcome of a conference which was organized in the United States, where Jerome Bruner participated. And as the conference actually help people think, a lot of ideas, reflect, question. So is this book also doing it. It's actually raising a lot of questions about the educational processes. So the couple of things which really attracted my attention, the one which, Jerome writes here, that don't teach about physics, teach physics. And later he explains that it is about the structure of a discipline which need to be taught. And there he goes for further explanations in detail that why, when we teach our students in detail, and those details are not fit into a structure, it becomes very difficult for them to understand and grasp. If those details come as the independent fact, it's not possible for them to retain it for longer time. And that also leads to a kind of disinterest in the subject. So he's talking a lot about that structure, the teaching the structure of a discipline. So I would like friends, any one of you to comment that how this can be possible. What has been your observation that in our classrooms that we are not teaching the structure of a discipline, rather we are just delivering the content. So how to, make sense of Jerome's idea of teaching this structure.
So you want me to start or?
Yeah. Mini.
So what Jerome talks about, the structure of the content, it's very interesting how he undermines that. Most of the times we think that, oh, the particular topic is difficult for the child. Should we take up it in the class?
Yeah.
So what he talks about is that probably, he gives a very interesting example, that probably the child may not be able to understand calculus, but he does understand some point of a calculus that's about limits. So you need to just figure out what the possibility of the child is, that we should understand that how much a child at a particular level can understand, and then start to build upon it. So what he's talking about is two things. One, that we need to just break down the concept to the level of the child where the child is able to understand the concept. And second, on the top of it, he's talking about picking up the same concept consequently over the years, when you can start building upon that basic knowledge and continue to build up the concept for the child, where the child himself plays the most important role in terms of learning, that he is the active learner rather than we teaching the child to learn. It is the child who is learning. He is building that knowledge. So the whole idea of spiral curriculum that Muna talks about, that is what that would lend the structure to the classrooms. Like Carlos, if you want to add something, Alfredo.
I think you are still on mute, Carlos.
Carlos, you're muted.
So he doesn't like, he because this is probably something that's
he can't. Okay. Let's wait.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's the host didn't allow me to talk. I mean, I spoke so much a few minutes ago that he said, no more. It's enough. I mean, I would actually like to add a little bit. I don't know if the people back at home know that, this is in fact a landmark text. This is in fact a book, and these thoughts, these ideas, they truly influence a lot of the policy making, a lot of the reform that happened in America, especially from the 70s onwards. And, it's also very interesting to consider how up to date this insight is. I mean, especially now that we talk so much about inquiry-based learning, project-based learning, service-based learning, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. This is directly tied to a lot of the phenomena, a lot of the approaches we are talking for teaching in general, or English language teaching in our particular case. So if we look at the introduction of the book, the very, very opening, Brunner says, each generation gives a new form of aspirations that shape education in its time. What may be emerging as a mark of our own generation is a widespread renewal of concern for equality and intellectual aims of education. So, there's this tendency that on one hand, we say, oh, the next generation, oh, my goodness, this next generation, these kids don't understand the concepts, they don't know, I mean, and we forgot that it's been 10 or 15 years and we're teaching it the same way, and the kids and the society and the global economy has changed, and there has not been an adaptation to accompany how things have changed. On the other hand, to say that our children, our students are problem solvers. They are wonderful. They are thinkers. They are problem solvers. They might be lazy sometimes. I'm not saying that they're not lazy. They are. We need to know how to engage them. But if we are able to tap in to what makes them thick, what ignites that fire inside of them, we're going to find that those topics that, as you mentioned, that are difficult are just going to be another challenge, and they're going to be passionate about solving and coming up with a solution. So when we look at all the strands and all the themes that are presented in the book, I mean, the role of structure in learning, maybe we could just say that it's the process. And we nowadays, when we talk about it, it's all about the process. Where are we starting from? Where are we going? How are we going to get there? And it's going to be different from each class. It's going to be different for each teacher. It's going to be different in Portugal. It's going to be different in Costa Rica. We're all different. There's
Absolutely.
no one size fits all solution. And as educators, but also as thinkers, as human beings, we need to be reminded of this, that just because this worked in Minu's classroom, it might not work in mine. Maybe I have too many students and this is not going to work. Maybe my students are not engaged by this topic. Maybe in Costa Rica, this is something that is very close to their hearts and they're passionate about this. And it's something that it's just dismissed in other countries. So again, I'm going to shut up because I get very excited about this. And I talk too much.
Phenomenal. Yeah, you have been phenomenal.
Thank you. Alfredo, take it away.
Thank you. When reflecting about the structure, and I read something about the formula thing in one of those chapters, I mean, just like scroll up and down. I would like to say that knowledge is at this click of distance. You just like go to Google and you get knowledge. So it's not only just getting the formula of, gaining and moving through these stages in life as humans, from critical thinking to the utilization of conceptually adequate models of thought and all that. No, in my case, and this is my personal belief, if we have knowledge at this click right now, the matter of, knowledge is more like deconstructing knowledge to reconstruct it again and to develop, skills, not only, let's say, skills in terms, the hard skills we want to get from our students, but also soft skills. And also, becoming, this is something we've been talking about, and it's part of our proposal for the final project of this research is, 21st century skills that are combined. I mean, we need to be critical thinkers. We need to be able to work in, in groups. We need to be able to be flexible and all that. So in terms of knowledge, I would say that knowledge is there somewhere. It's always there. It's in, you just get online and get knowledge. But my personal belief is that we need to be able to deconstruct or reconstruct knowledge and develop some other soft skills or power skills that we need to develop in terms to become more critical, more empowered in terms of, becoming better learners and better educators as well. So once again, it's not a matter of sticking to knowledge, but sticking to the development of, 21st century skills as well.
Fantastic. So yeah, I think this book has dealt in a great detail about this idea, the structure of knowledge. And when he writes this line, I'm repeating again, that don't teach about physics, but teach physics, or, talk about the structure of a discipline. So I was wondering, in fact, first time I got the word of what I was practicing. So basically it's about, for example, if physics or mathematics or history. So also, talking to a student that how those contents are designed, why certain topics are there and why some topics are not there, who decides which topics are supposed to be there and who decides that it should not be there. So, all such mechanisms which are involved in organizing those curriculum, and I'm coming to that. So that is perhaps the larger structure of a discipline, and that ultimately through those different contents, chapters and examples, what that particular discipline tries to tell the students. So it could be a discipline of mathematics or the discipline of history. So for example, a discipline of mathematics could ultimately try to tell the students that it's about abstract thinking, it's about measurement and calculation, it's about accuracy in distance calculations. So something that people can think in the abstract about the abstract things also. They can develop, the models which are not present. So most of the scientific development of the day is basically based on this idea of abstract thinking. So it's about history, showing about the continuity and the traces of change, or the correlations between the different phenomena. So ultimately, those chapters are basically telling about those larger structures of a discipline, and that we can bring from any area of the discipline. That which is trying to say. I will appeal from the friends to go through this section. It's really amazing, really amazing. And those who want to know that what actually the discipline, the structure of a discipline may look like, and when somebody talk about this, I have recently had an opportunity to go through the couple of video lecture of a very famous Indian teacher. He's teaching in civil services coaching, Vikas Dibbikirti. You would understand what the structure means, what the structure of a discipline means when you hear him. He's such an amazing teacher. So yeah, so we actually, Alfredo, you also mentioned about the curriculum, and now I'm coming to that. One of the things he's talking about very passionately in his book, that across the globe and in most of the countries, there has been, a distance, a gap between the leading scientist and researcher of the discipline and the people who are developing the curriculum for the schools, teachers. So the leading researchers and scientists, they are generally not involved with the curriculum developments. And so most of the, school curriculums have to pay the heavier price for it. So, I mean, how is it? How do you see this phenomena? Can you relate it with your country also? I would talk about, in my country also how this happens. Any one of you can, join and comment on this. Yes, Alfredo.
I want to say that in Costa Rica, we just have a brand new curriculum for English language teaching, for example, for bilingual schools and traditional academic schools. And when we did the needs analysis, we found out that not only was, the lack of, understanding of these brand new theories in terms of language teaching and learning by many teachers, because we were like stick to the communicative approach. And then we decided to move to the, this action-oriented approach proposed by the Common Council, the Common European Framework and all that, with the bands and the levels in the A1, A2. But also, we wanted to put into practice what the national curricular policy and educational policy said in terms of developing these 21st century skills in the country. So we divided, we had the dimensions, different ways of thinking, different ways of, communicating and all that. So for me, it's very important to stick to know what the theorists say in terms of language teaching and learning, and also the new trends and tendencies in language education. That is totally necessary. So we just went over all these new theorists, and what we did was just taking all those new theories and then the context of the Costa Rican education and what the country wants for Costa Rican new citizens, because this is the way we call our new education policy and curricular policy, educating for a new citizenship. We really want to educate for this new citizenship. So this new citizen, this new Costa Rican, and I brought this to the presentation of our final, research projects. That is the global concept that is from local to global and all that. So our professor was pretty amazed about the term, and he just gave us some pieces of advice in terms of, doing, deeper research on this. So, but for sure, I do agree in terms of, getting, the new trends in language teaching, for example, and then combining those new trends and adapting those new trends to the context of your country. But something else is not only having the curriculum written, but also training teachers and future teachers and connect universities, with their early formation, talk to the universities, let them know about, at least in the case of Costa Rica, the Ministry of Public Education leads, the thing in terms of education. So I know, and I'm pretty sure that this is academic bubble, and there's a gap in terms of knowing what the country wants and what the books say, but it's necessary to link, what is being taught in the classrooms at university level and what is there out there for the country. This is
Right.
what Costa Rica expects, So I do think that it's completely necessary to connect what is in theory, what is in the context, and what is in the new curriculum, but also training teachers in knowing how to read between the lines of those, words in the curriculum, and to have actually that being implemented in the correct way. Another example is that we train teachers all around the country with different specialists, but we also create lesson plans. We also create materials for teachers to see how this theory is put into practice in the context of teaching English, for instance. Thank you.
Oh, that's really awesome. Yeah, Carlos, you want to add into it? Okay. Okay, wait. I don't know why and how it's happening.
Basically, we were out of the meeting, and
Okay.
yes, Carlos, go ahead.
It's totally okay. I won't take any offense to it. It's
No,
totally
I
okay.
don't know. It's just a technical flaw. Yeah.
It's okay. It's okay. I mean, it's a good way to control me. Don't talk.
Okay.
I mean, I'm gonna be a little bit controversial here, and I'm gonna build a little bit upon what Alfredo just wrote, and I'm also gonna build upon my own PhD research, and I'm gonna say I agree 100% with Alfredo, but now comes the controversial part: is that teachers, and I have written materials, and I'm very critical about the materials that I've written for Portuguese teachers that are teachers of English as a foreign language. Teachers are very dependent on materials. And we know, literature has said that, we know this as educators, that the course book that we use in our context translates the curriculum, but it translates the curriculum through the eyes of those specific authors. And that is problematic, because that might not be the translation, the view, the interpretation I need for my school. Now, we have a problem, is that a lot of the course books that we use today, that we have today, they more or less look alike. They're very similar in the way they're organized, similar in the way they present grammar, similar in the way they tackle maybe writing skills, et cetera, et cetera. So this issue is problematic, because it's focusing the publisher's views on financial success, like on making a lot of money, and instead of tapping into research, as you were saying, and very right, so connecting what is happening in academia to what is happening on site in schools, and informing the process and informing curriculum reform with our local and our central government. There's a huge disconnect. It's the case in Portugal, I would argue, and I work very closely with Spanish teachers. It's the case in Spain. It's the case more or less throughout many European countries. So when we look at Brunner's work, and I'm thinking about what he wrote on page 14, and he says, interest in the material to be learned is the best stimulus to learning, rather than such external goals or grades or later competitive advantage. Yeah, course books are great, but they're not always adapted. Sometimes we use the same course book for 5 years, and I've had the example of using a course book where I see Cristiano Ronaldo with a Manchester t-shirt, like with a Manchester jersey, and he didn't play in Manchester anymore, that wasn't. So this is a problem. So if I could share my experience, I would recommend, and I write about this. It's maybe we should reconsider looking at Dogma ELT. Maybe we should go back to Scott Thornbury and see what he writes. It's that sometimes we don't have to use the course book. Sometimes I know that parents invest a lot of money in course books, and there's this expectation, but sometimes we can go outside the course book and just end in the course book and maybe connect this amazing lesson. I'm not sure of your experience, but I'm going to be honest with you. The lessons I'm proud of, and I leave the classroom saying, wow, I'm really happy with the work I did today, are the lessons that I left the domains, I was creative, and I was, going outside and bringing that song, bringing that video, bringing that situation that happened in the community, and igniting them in a discussion, in a meaningful discussion for their community. Those are the lessons that I leave the classroom with a big smile on my face saying, mission accomplished, I did it. And then when I feel so many times, and I would like to listen to Minu's opinion on this too. I mean, I feel that, okay, I'm going to do the PPP, presentation, practice, production. Yeah, they're going to know the present simple. They're going to know the present continuous. Come on, this is not going to fail. And, kids have their heads down and you feel like crying and your colleague is complaining, oh, the kids are not learning the grammar. It wasn't meaningful because the course book doesn't make a proper translation of what is expected and how these kids learn. And I'm just going to give you a quick example and shut up. I was analyzing 108 course books, and some of these course books were published last year. So they're brand new course books, up to date, exactly the same structure as the ones in 2005. Like nothing has changed except some of the visuals, Shutterstock images that they used. And at a certain point, I'm looking at an A2 level, so it would be 7th grade course book, and the examples that they use are Harry Potter. And I was thinking, a lot of these kids are not interested in Harry Potter. That was 10 years ago. Harry Potter is over. Now it's something else. And these authors that are bestsellers, they're still thinking about the formula they used 10 and 15 years ago. And that's not the correct way to translate the curriculum, and it's not the best way to translate and engage our learners. Because at the end of the day, who knows the learners? We do.
Yeah.
We do. We're the teachers. We know our learners, sometimes better than the parents.
Absolutely.
I want to say something else in terms of, bringing, these, let's see, elements of having real life tasks in the classroom. So this is very important. So this is something we're promoting in our new curriculum in Costa Rica, with this action-oriented approach in which students become social agents of change in terms of using language to complete linguistic tasks, but going beyond. That is analyzing the context of their classrooms. And in fact, in Costa Rica, we are not allowed to use books in public education.
Brilliant.
So we have this sorts of like teachers' guides, but creative, with their own online materials, updated materials, videos from the internet, images from there, blah, 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 blah. So we go that way exactly because of that, because you cannot stick to the book at all times. And because of that, a tenet in our Costa Rican education, that is that we need to analyze the context. Every single student and every single class is different, even though they're in the same school. So going back to the books thing, we have books as a resource, but we need to take all those resources, adapt it, readapt them, or even rewriting the resources, but analyzing the context of the students. So this is very important. And I wanted to highlight
let me just interrupt you. I would say it's more than that. It's giving our teachers in Portugal, in Costa Rica, in India, everywhere around the world, the right tools to write their own materials. A lot of our teachers go through their teaching course, their teacher training, whatever it is. It's a master's, it's a CELTA, and there's not enough emphasis on how to develop materials, how to write materials. How do I write my own writing lesson and writing materials? How do I do my own grammar materials? And in the field of applied linguistics, material development is a relatively recent field. It's one of the brand new fields, and we need to give our teachers this know-how, how to develop, how to be the author of my own materials, how to empower them, and how do I use all these different apps and these technologies? How am I going to use Padlet for writing skills? How am I going to use Canva for speaking and oral presentations? How am I going to use these magnificent tasks to engage not only and inform my teaching practice, but to engage my audience, my learners, my resources? And again, coming back to what Alfredo said, it's all about not only 21st century skills, but lifelong learning and life skills. Developing those life skills.
So yeah, both of you, have brought the idea of how to bring teachers at the center. We'll connect it to Brunner is also talking about that how across the globe that the curriculum development programs have actually sidelined the teachers and tried to develop the teacher-proof curriculum. We'll come to that. But before that, I remember, Minu has been trying to put the two domains, the experts in a particular domain and also the teachers together to develop the curriculum. Recently, she has worked on a gender-based curriculum where she put the expert from the United States and also the teachers from her own department and put them together, worked over 3-4 months, more than 6 months, I think, and they developed a very interesting curriculum, which is going to roll out soon once he returns from there. So, Minu, would you like to talk about this Brunner's idea of bringing the two, the leading researchers, the scientists in a particular domain, and the teachers put together to develop the curriculum? You have been doing it practically, basically, yeah.
I didn't know that I have been doing this.
Yeah.
But so the point is that Brunner points a very interesting thing. We have always had this idea that curriculum is for the students, but Brunner says in true sense, like in reality, the curriculum is for the teachers. The teachers take it as their guidebook, the religious book, and they just stick to it and don't go beyond it. So what we need to think is that what the curriculum, the objectives of the curriculum are. It's not about the strategies, it's not about the content, it is about the objectives. What do we intend to achieve? And this was something I have actually seen here in practical when we had a research project here. The professor was again and again telling us, think, what do you want to get from out of it? What you want to achieve when doing this research? So same goes with the curriculum. We need to think, what do we want to achieve when we are trying to implement that curriculum? So it's the objectives that we need to pay attention to. It is what we are intending among our students, what Carlos talked about, the 21st century skills, what Alfredo talked about, that giving the teachers that autonomy to decide what's good for my students. But again, we do understand that it entails a lot of professional development on the part of the teacher. It entails a lot of hard work on the part of the teacher too. It's easy to just have a ready-made curriculum and just deliver. I'm not responsible, whatever happens. It's in the book. I'm not responsible and I don't have to work hard. It's there, it's written. I'm just giving it up. I'm just a delivery person. But the point is, we need to think, we have taught, but have the student learned? This whole concept of getting that evaluation back to us, that have the learning actually taken place, has the objective being met, is what is important. This is what Brunner is also talking
and connecting that to what's coming next, and connecting that to informing, okay, this was the basis, again, spiraling, scaffolding, this is informing not only what I'm learning in the English language classroom, but also helping me learn other subjects in other areas. So, this global holistic development that is happening in our schools, in all the classrooms, that are informing each other and helping towards this holistic development for a global citizen that is going to maybe not even perform a job that has been invented yet. I always give the example of some of my previous students that ended up being Zumba instructors. I mean, when I was teaching them, Zumba didn't even exist. That was not even in the radar. And maybe now it doesn't exist. I mean, it's kind of lost a bit of its popularity, but it's interesting that we are teaching these boys and girls, these teenagers, and trying to prepare them for a future that we cannot predict. We try, but we can't. And a lot of the jobs they're going to do, we're not exactly sure what they're going to look like, but we're going to try anyway. We're going to try to give them the best tools possible to be able to accomplish and to make the best possible human being we can, out of that. So kind of like sculpting out as if we are artists in our laboratory, right?
Exactly. So
giving the students the chance to adapt themselves is something that is completely necessary to be in a new citizen today. So this sense of adaptability is completely necessary. That is why we're just need to stick, learning to real life scenarios and transforming all this knowledge into what happens in real life. And there should be an aim in education today. I mean, here we had to adapt with the COVID-19. We had to adapt ourselves to be here on Zoom. And now we're completely adapted. We're 4 different people, 5 different people, 12 different people. Who have thought that we today, July 2nd, 2021, and all of us, sharing from the United States and India and different parts of the world. So we adapted ourselves. So this is a new skill that should be, developed in our curricula as well. Absolutely. Through language. The way of adapting ourselves to different circumstances, to different scenarios, to different real life scenarios through, in this case, English, right?
And so the term used here in the textbook is the extrapolation. So, the learning gained in one area, if we are able to apply it in another area, This is what is actually required. I would like to read here about the theme we have been discussing, and it's a beautiful word that Brunner has written here about the curriculum, and I think that our audience must not miss it. So just 4-5 lines here. A curriculum is more for teachers than it is for pupils. If it cannot change, move, perturb, inform teachers, it will have no effect on those whom they teach. It must be first and foremost a curriculum for teachers. If it has any effect on pupils, it will have it by virtue of having had an effect of teachers. The doctrine that a well-wrought curriculum is a way of teacher-proofing a body of knowledge in order to get it to the students uncontaminated in nonsense is nonsense. The process of education, in that sense, is only part of the book, for it is mostly about students and their learning process. Perhaps it is not a surprise that the book most immediately following it bore the title Towards a Theory of Instruction. So, I mean, why I read this, and actually to the theme, I would like you all to comment now, and we are also inching towards the end of the program, 1 hour, and I cannot afford to take more than that because it's such a packed day for you, all of you. But a very interesting phenomena which has happened because of the pandemic across the globe. The idea of teacher proofing, which Brunner is talking about in 1970s, that it is apprehended across the globe that the videos and the machine learning will take the central place, and perhaps the teachers might not be required in the classroom. In fact, the governments and the private agencies and the neoliberal economy basically were trying to push this idea to save the money. You don't need to spend on teachers. You can have several other ways to ensure that the students are learning. So the whole idea of teacher proofing, that who is the teacher doesn't matter. Students can still learn. You can supply them with interesting textbooks, videos, audio lectures, video lectures, and all such things. So here in writing there in 1970s, still Brunner wrote that all these technological intervention can only be an aid for the teachers. Those technological interventions cannot replace teacher. But what I'm trying to understand from all of you, being a global expert on all these schools, that how you see, because what Brunner has wrote, it was completely a different world, say 50 years ago, but today it's a very different world. So if the governments, the authorities, or even the private sectors, wherever they are running these schools, if they say that my class will have one teacher will be taking online class in all 50 classrooms, we don't need much teachers. Teachers will be there in the classroom just to operate.
The audience is going to panic. The audience is panicking. They're very, you're making everybody very nervous right now.
No, I'm just posing this question.
I know. I'm joking.
Why, how in this particular context of 21st century, particularly, we can say that the post-pandemic world, how we still see the relevance of teachers in the classroom, and the machines are almost ready to replace us.
I think if I could just be the first one, not trying to be rude here. I'm thinking about, I'm linking what you just said also to another stance that Brunner makes in the book about culture. Culture shapes the mind. It provides us with the toolkit by which we construct not only our worlds, but our very conception of ourselves and our powers. So I would say that we as teachers, and unfortunately, all over the world, governmental policies, I agree with you, governmental politics and policies all over the world have put us a bit in a very awkward position. Society does not value the role of the role of the teacher. However, when the pandemic hits, I think we saw a slight shift, and suddenly parents wanted to participate again and wanted to have a Zoom call with the teacher and wanted to know what they could do to support their child at home. So if we could tap into that, maybe we could still make some strides and make some changes. However, with some of us, I think we've all have to, and again, another topic for another session, just discussing the impact and some of the stories that we all have had. And I had some meaningful stories. Just the fact that we had a direct window inside our teenagers' home. I saw a lot of situations of violence. I saw, some of these kids were in their English lesson. I asked them to answer, and I could hear the mother, the father fighting in the background, somebody shouting, somebody throwing a pan at whoever's head. I mean, there are a lot of episodes and stories that are brutal that, we exposed a lot of our own homes and our students' home. But just trying to come back full circle here. I don't think we should go in a panic, because I don't think we are going to be replaced by a hologram anytime soon. I don't think we're going to be replaced by a computer or any machine-based. We are going to have a lot of apps. We're seeing the freemium apps are everywhere. It's free for the first week, but you have to pay to continue using it. That is something that is here to stay. That this type of apps or platforms that will augment learning and will allow you to create some form of agency and continue practicing the contents of your class outside of classroom. I'm pretty sure that is here to stay. It is a business model for many companies. It is a business model for Google and Microsoft, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Are they able to replace us? No, they're not. Regardless if our role is to be at the center, at the spotlight, or to be the facilitators, we are still the ones making the shots. Regardless if our curriculum is still very classic, or like Alfredo just said, very tuned into 21st century skills, action-based, we are the one that have the last words, and we're the ones that then explain to the parents why this was done and why that wasn't done. So we are stakeholders that are here to stay. We're not going to be replaced anytime soon. Yes. But we do need to, again, we need a lot of professional development to know which are the best apps, which are the best routes. And again, being able to say, this year I use this specific app, not trying to name anyone in specific, and next year I'm not going to use it because maybe there are better alternatives. And I'm not going to be stuck to that idea that now that I found this app, my classes are going to be the best and I'm never going to use anything else. I mean, just to finish, I'm thinking about when PowerPoint started to be generalized and everybody started saying, oh, my classes, I use a lot of technology in my classes. Now I use PowerPoint in every single lesson. And I'm like, right, but you're just substituting the course book for some slides on PowerPoint. That's not being technology-based and empowering your learners to use technology to inform their learning and create agency. So just to finish, the more things change, the more they stay the same. I hope that we can come together sometime in the future and continue discussing this and giving teachers a roadmap or ideas, planting some seeds so they can feel empowered and continue and change and promote change with their learners. And that can then replicate it and replicate it and replicate it on and on and on. Sorry.
Thank you very much. No, it's such a really, it's such a nice hearing you about all this. I would request Meenu to bring you sometime independently for the, where we can discuss the whole book basically. Yeah. So now I will be taking the final comment from Meenu and Alfredo on this or any of the issues, or if you have underlined something you would like to read. So basically the final issue that we are discussing, that in this post-pandemic situation where the word teacher proofing, that means that whether teachers are there in or not, or who are the teachers, that doesn't matter basically. How we see this phenomena in the post-pandemic world.
So I would like to add that it's very interesting. Even Brunner says that, okay, digitalization is there, but they cannot replace the teachers. The idea of digitalization is to work as a teaching aid, to scaffold the student. The idea of teaching aid or digitalization is not to replace the teacher. So they are supposed to be there just to help the teachers attain their objectives of supporting the students, to help the students think, help the students reflect, help the students build on their learning. Right. It's not the idea of being the teacher there, being the whole soul knowledge gainer. So it's the idea of how to just trigger the students toward that curiosity, how to raise their curiosity, that they want to learn, they want to explore, they want to know more about it.
Very interesting. So basically both Carlos and Meenu have spoken that the teachers cannot be replaced. They are going to stay there, right? And all the technologies are going to be aid. Yeah, Alfredo, I would like to hear your.
I'm totally, I mean, I agree with them. We are not going to be replaced, but we need to continue evolving. We've been evolving in these past years so hard. We've been pushed to evolve and to grow as professionals.
Yeah.
In this, urge of, develop these 21st century citizens, we need to think of, the different ways of learning, the different ways of relating to others, the different ways of communicating with others. You cannot stick to a traditional Blackboard anymore. You cannot stick to a book anymore. I mean, it's just a resource. We're just like facilitators of knowledge. We are not the owners of knowledge. But remember that teachers cannot be replaced because they put something important. And I'm taking this from, the author of this book as well, because we have the power of Lior. We have the power of motivate students. We should take students, and students should know what it feels like to be completely absorbed in the classroom, to be completely absorbed in a problem to be solved. They should experience this feeling in the school through different, apps or different, videos and all that. But we should provide all this enough absorption in the class. This is quotes what the author is saying. And something else, students should feel that they can just like close these huge learning gaps we've been going through because of the pandemic, because of not having access to technology, that. And they need to feel this sense of, confidence, this sense of, achievement in what we're learning. So I totally agree with Carlos Arminio as well. We are not going to be replaced, but we do need to continue evolving in the way we teach in the class, in the way we perceive that new normal after the pandemic, and of course continuing training ourselves and learning more about ourselves. And something else, I learned this from one PhD professor at the University of Costa Rica back in my country. This new skill that we should develop every single day is learning how to learn by planning, self-regulating, and evaluating what we're doing every single day, and how to learn to adapt ourselves to this learning how to learn. Not only, as teachers, but as, humans, professionals, friends, and all that. But thank you so much for my,
thank you. Yeah,
that I had to wrap up my thoughts.
No, very fantastic phrase you use, that we have to evolve. We are not going to replace, but we have to evolve. One cannot deny from it. Chandanji, you would like to add something?
So, thank you. Basically, if we, go through the whole book, it talks about the 4 themes. And one conjecture. The themes are structure, readiness, intuition, and interest. Alfredo talked about the structure and the intuition. Carlos more likely, talked about the conjecture, and Minimum just reiterated that, the conjecture is how best to aid the teacher in the task of instruction. So, yeah, the whole thing is here to support the teacher, not to replace the teacher. If the teacher is using all the, tools and apps just in order to make learning happen, and just Carlos said, if I'm using, PPT and copy pasting all the text from the textbook, it does not mean that, I'm using technology in my class.
Exactly.
What I did is I simply copied and pasted it over the PowerPoint. It does not mean
it's
that
not an approach,
you are doing the right thing in your classroom.
That is not flipping the classroom in a meaningful way.
That is not. So yeah, we must stick to that part. And as Alfredo said, that we can learn anything by planning, self-regulating, and evaluating ourselves. That how we can simply evolve. Just in order to keep the pace with our learners, because they have access to.
Yeah, Chandani, I think
we lost the connection.
Some problem.
Reading it, translate.
There is some.
Am I audible?
Yeah.
So basically, what we misunderstand it, that we translate the knowledge with the information with the knowledge. It is what they are Googling, the information. They are not learning the knowledge. As the Carlos said that, it was Alfredo, that we have the last say, that why I did this in my classroom and why I'm not going to repeat it in the next year. So yeah, thank you. And I think Vandana ma'am is also.
Yeah. So thank you, Chandan. I'll in a short while I'll invite Vandana ma'am. So, but basically, I'm not in a situation to in a freedom to take more time. It's a very precious time. My friends from the United States are sparing for us. So I actually would like to close it with an appeal to the friend that it's an amazing book. A lot of themes are there, like the idea on meritocracy, intuition versus analytical thinking, and a lot of interesting themes you would come across. It's roughly 120-page book you would like to read, and one of the finest thinker Bruner has been. So you must read this book. And I'm just putting in the words of Bruner only that if the teacher is also learning, teaching takes on a new quality. So what actually Alfredo showed, it's in a different form. It's evolving basically. So yes, in a post-pandemic world, with the massive technological interventions, we cannot be replaced, but we have to evolve. That's the only thing. So for evolving, continue with the Read with the Teacher. This is a platform which I feel helps in our evolve. Help us evolve. So thank you very much for the friends who are here and those who are watching it on Facebook or those who will watch later. We'll come with the not final, but the annual episode after 15 days when we will be completing 1 year of Read with the Teacher. So I'm very thankful to Minu, Carlos, and Alfredo that you joined us from the United States. So thank you very much. We will be hearing Vandana ma'am now. I'm just, yes, Vandana ma'am, you can continue, please.
Thank you so much for having